Welcome to Cyber Espresso Podcast, your quick shot of cybersecurity insights with industry leaders. I am humbled to welcome today's guest, Shishir Kumar, Head of Information Security and Interim Group Data Privacy Officer at Advanced Intelligence Group. Shishir is almost afternoon in Singapore now. Thanks for being part of our podcast.
Good afternoon, Murat. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
So, Shishir, why don't you give a quick overview of yourself and your role at Advanced Intelligence Group?
Uh, okay, perfect. So my name is Shishir. I'm responsible for information security within my company, and I'm also interim in charge for the data privacy. Uh, so these are the two roles of an interim data privacy officer. Almost for a year, I have been handling it. But as a head of information security, I'm here for last 3.5 years. And it's been an incredible journey, I would say. Growing fintech and the market that we operate in, traditional challenges, regulatory challenges, it's been a fun ride. Yeah.
Yeah, ever-changing regulation challenges, right? So it is
Yep.
a unending fruit. So I just want to kick off our conversation referring one of your posts, and in alignment with what Gartner is saying, why traditional training methods often fall short, and any way of making them interactive learning, gamification could deliver better outcomes. Would you like to share your insight on that?
Sure, sure. Traditional methods, yes, it was predominantly, I would say, was used as a method to train internal employees just to meet the regulatory requirements, probably, I would say. Uh, People do wanted to instill the culture using the traditional approaches, but it was effective in a way or so, but somewhat not pretty effective, I would say. That's been a challenge. So as an industry, that is why you will see a lot of gamification, a lot of uh, advancement on the training platforms has happened, which is being quite helpful. But ultimately, these trainings helps us to instill that culture in a way, but ultimately, unless and until the organization is from top down is trying to push the awareness as a culture, right, then it is a little difficult. As an organization, I think everyone wants to do best in terms of bringing the awareness culture to the top, but it's not as easy as it looks like from the outside, right? So there are a lot of training requirement that comes in, not only security, there are multiple trainings. Like I handle privacy, so privacy training also we push on. Similarly, other trainings are getting pushed on by compliance and various other teams, so it becomes challenging for the employees also to go through that much of training in a quarter or in couple of quarters, right? So it's productivity loss generally happens. The objective should be to gamify and make it as close to their work, relate to their work, and probably try to get those trainings, get it completed within a short span of time. Let's say 10 minutes or 15 minutes, where you are able to pass on the relevant knowledge and info quickly, and it is more receptive in nature too. I think that is where things are to be aligned, and industry is working on that front.
So, would you agree, as much as we like to do self-learning with videos, with gamification, but also a hybrid approach of on-site delivery training is still important, or we should move most to the digital to the best of our capability?
Digital people want to do. Digital is good for short videos, short trainings, 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute. It helps out. But when you do personal one-to-one training, it is more effective in general because that is where you can see what kind of responses people are giving to you. It's helpful. I think we may not be able to 100% move away from the in-person training, but I think we have to amalgamate these two in a way where we can make it more effective in general. So that is where my thought is.
Okay, okay, yeah, I appreciate that. So one of your discussion is building an AI first organization, a realistic goal or a hack. I just want to expand on it, just to reflect your personal experience, your practical examples of companies that have successfully transitioned to AI first and companies failed. Would you like to share some of your insights?
Uh, so one thing that I say always, right? Uh, it's as everyone knows, it is becoming a realistic goal to have an AI first organization. But it's not only about adoption of the tool, I would say. There's a fundamental shift in mindset, strategy, and execution have to be there. The bigger companies like Google, Amazon, and fintech startups have been successfully embedding these AI adoption into their core operations, whether it is customer engagement, whether it is decision making, and all. So that is where I think people have to work on. And as an industry, as an organization, we should be really focusing towards not only adopting the tools, but there are a lot of challenges that comes along the way, right? In terms of executing this and making it more aligned within the business. So one of the bigger challenge I would say is specifically on the data readiness. AI is only good as your data is. It learns from it and it provides you the insight from that data. If you are not able to train your model or train your data or put your data accordingly, it is going to be a really challenge, not only from a regulatory landscape, but in general, getting the insight. Talent gap, there is cybersecurity talent is a shortage in general, but when it comes to AI skilled professionals, uh, talent is another much bigger problem, and it is making it much harder for the organization to scale their AI initiatives. Then I would another pointer that I would say is change management. Moving from traditional processes, what the organizations have been following, right, to AI-driven processes is uh, does require cultural adaptation, which can face resistance. So, for my organization, it has been pretty good because we are a AI-driven company, so it's been pretty fantastic. But traditionally, this is what the challenge is. What I feel so. Yeah.
Okay, so we typically object to any change, and same with the automation. It's not specific to AI, but I want to emphasize like what you say on the cultural shift or the mind shift. So, what needs to be done? Again, excluding the technology and the tool set from a regular employee, from every staff, developers to executives, what the mind shift as a mind modeler that we need to address when you say AI first? What does it mean? Like, what needs to be done to shift the culture to think to breathe that way?
Okay, that's pretty relevant and interesting question, I would say. Uh, when we speak about AI driven organization or the cultural shift for the AI, right, it comes from the clear business objective development. When as an organization we are very clear what we want to achieve out of by adopting the AI, and how do we drive the organizational changes. If the objectives are clear, it becomes more much easier for pushing that change. Now, when I say top to down, it helps in a way that when we go in silos at various other departments, related initiatives, it helps because there we are able to do the phased approach, and people are ready to understand from their own learning experience, from their own departmental change, how this is going to be beneficial. So training and all helps, but ultimately, as long as when we are able to define the business objective much clearer, which can be emphasized or enhanced by adopting the technologies and solutions. So that is where I see some of the work that organizations are trying to do. And as it's a saying also, right? Everyone says that AI will take the job of cybersecurity professionals and many other people. How I see it, it is going to be effective, and use it as a tool to increase the productivity within your portfolios and whatever department that you are handling or whatever work that you guys are doing. That is how I teach and preach about that within my organization too. So I think that is where I will probably leave it for now, but happy to
Correct,
address other questions.
correct, correct. I mean, you need to set the objectives and clearly communicate it. At the end of the day, it is the basis. That's correct. And last question is on the AI again. We see it as an opportunity. Sometimes we see it as a challenge, but How do you foresee AI presenting in the future? You see more threats or more opportunities?
I would say threats and opportunities both are one side, each side of the coins, right? So as AI is helping the cybersecurity professionals, uh, but it is a double-edged sword. I would say the attackers are also leveraging it in much bigger way. But a typical challenge from AI rapid advancement perspective, I have to say, right? Uh, Attacker is one area, but in general, within the organization, how do you deal with it? How do you handle your biasness? How do you handle your fairness issues? Is one of the challenge which people are trying to sort it out. Regulatory uncertainty, which we know, right? EU AI Act have just come in. Singapore is trying to bring the AI governance framework in a way or so. They are not coming up with an act, but they are trying to build a framework where things can be. So industry is rapidly evolving around that. So that is a challenge. Security wise, AI driven cyber threats we speak about, deepfakes, automated hacking, will keep growing. A typical example is phishing have drastically changed. Earlier, you can spot on the mistakes in the emails or the phishing emails that you used to receive or we used to receive. But these days, it's so sophisticated, like it is difficult to identify. We just heard about few of the attacks recently, right? So has been quite interesting to see how the AI is changing the landscape. Uh, Hallucination, I spoke about biasness and fairness related stuff. So hallucination risk is also available in the generative AI. So those are the things that we need to look into. Uh, but ultimately, how do we deal with it? It is more from a proactive risk management, continuous monitoring, and ethical AI adoption strategy. So, how much explainable we can make the AI models and all helps us out in giving the more visibility how the decisions are being made, so we can track the biasness, fairness, and make it more receptive. And the same way, regulators will also be uh, looking more from a transparency perspective. They will be more adaptive and understanding in terms of how the adoption of the AI is happening within the organization, right? So how we are treating fairly and all. External world hacks are going to increase, but I see that uh, defense professionals are coming together to work on and tackling those. So hopefully things gets much better, though the risk will keep increasing day in day out. So
Yeah. So we need to be more on the optimistic side and see it as an
yep,
opportunity because as we move along, we may see some hurdles, but this is as a community
indeed,
integrated
indeed.
globally, how we can respond to this one. So that's very good, Shishir. I really appreciate your time, sharing your valuable insights. I look forward to our conversation in other podcasts. Again, I will just wrap it up for today.
Sure. Thanks, Murat. Thanks.